Okay, guys, welcome. This is our Friday Edpuzzle. Now, with this, what you're looking at right now, you should know that this is what we've been dealing with for the 3 weeks. We know how to deal with this, okay? We should also know that you also know what a table looks like, okay? And the whole goal behind this, sorry about that, the whole goal behind this is to make a connection between the table and the equation. Now, what we're also going to call this equation, I'm going to have you start calling it as well. It's a rule. And with all the rules, we have to follow the rule. The table must follow the rule, okay? So look at this point here, 3, 4. Isn't that a coordinate point? So couldn't I write this down? 3, 4 as a coordinate? And what's 3? Isn't 3 my x? Isn't 4 my y? Now just think about this. Let's make the connection, guys. Do you see an x or y in this equation at all? Right? You see it. Let me get rid of this so you understand. This is the rule, though. You see an x here. You see a y here. They're not just there just to be there. And if you guys haven't really made that connection yet, we know that this is the, what do we call this guy? Sorry, we call this one the slope, right? Isn't this our slope? So the slope is 3 over 1. And then what is this guy called? Our y-intercept, okay? So we know what those things are, all right? But we also need to know, why is there an x and why is there a y, okay? And let me explain this to you right now. Pay attention. The x goes here. So we can erase this x, and what can we put in its spot? We can put 3 right there for that, okay? Now, when numbers are right next to each other, doesn't that mean you're going to multiply? So 3 times 3 is 9, and then now you have 9 minus 5. All right, so now you have this equation here that says y equals 9 minus 5. Do you see that? We got rid of the x, we plugged in the x, which we know is 3. Now, could I also plug in the 4? Where would the 4 go? Where the y is. All right, so I'm going to take this y away, and I'm going to put 4 here. And what you're eventually going to do, and this is next week, you're going to look at this and be like, does this make sense? Does 4, just read it as a sentence, does 4 equal 9 minus 5? Does 4 equal 9 minus 5? What's 9 minus 5? 4. Okay, so it does. Eventually you would have 4 equals 4. And does 4 equal 4? Yep, and it checks out. We're going to do all of this next week. I just want you to make the connection. Guess what? If I choose another point, what if I choose this point here? 2, comma 1. All right, I'm going to choose that one. And what's the 2? The 2 is an x. What's the 1? The 1 is a y. So 1 is y. You just see that, right? Why did I put 1 there? Because that's what y is. And where does x go? Right where this x is. Okay. So then you would get 3 times 2, right? Don't we cross out this x now because we're going to plug it in? So what's 3 times 2? 6. So we have 6 minus 5 equals, and instead of y, we're going to put 1. Now, does this statement work? Does 1 equal 6 minus 5? Does 1 equal 1? And again, it checks out. We're going to do a lot of this. I don't want you to get too confused, but basically, let me erase all this. Basically, what I'm telling you is that all of these coordinate points fit this rule. That's why this equation is for this table. This equation is perfect for every one of these points because it all fits in perfectly. All right. Now, what I want you to do today is just what we've already done. How do you find the slope from this table? Why don't you take the 2 coordinates here and find the slope of this table? What's the slope going to be? Well, let's go ahead and write it out. All right, and there's your 2 coordinates. Now go ahead and find the slope. You guys know how to do this. I'm going to label them. And then I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go 4 minus 1, 3 minus 2. How do I do that? I should not have to remind you. It's y minus y over x minus x. 3 over 1. And it's all positive, so 3. So what's my slope? 3. Well, do you see a 3 in this equation? Yep. So what's my slope here? It's already there. It's written as 3. So today, I want you to be able to, let me clear all this. You figured out the slope is 3, right? Oh, let me do this. The slope equals 3. And what I want you to do today is just go ahead and start writing out the equation. Y equals, what's the slope? 3, x, and then we're just going to leave this blank, okay? Because we're not going to worry about next week's lesson is how to figure out what the y-intercept is going to be. All I want you to do today is figure out the slope and start writing the equation. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and go do another one. Let me pause this. Okay, so now what I want you to do is find the slope. Okay. Go ahead and find the slope for me first. And when you find the slope, I want you to go ahead and start writing the equation out. So, what is the slope? Three minus 5 over, I get negative 2 over, what's that going to be? Negative 3. So eventually I get 2 over 3. And actually, I made a mistake here. So I'm going to go back, and I want you to see right now, where did I make my mistake? And if you didn't see it, look what I did. It's a negative 1. That's a negative 1. I forgot to put the negative here, which changes the whole equation. Isn't there going to be a negative right here? Isn't it negative 2 minus a negative 1? So these two negatives cancel out to become plus. And then it's negative 2 plus 1, which equals negative 1. So my slope turns into y equals, oh, not yet. I don't want you to do that yet. My slope is 2. Okay? If my slope is 2, then start writing the equation. So I'm going to delete everything except for, I'm going to rewrite my slope. If my slope is 2, pay attention. All right, my slope is 2. How would I start writing the equation? Y equals, all right, you guys know where the slope's supposed to go, and this is what I want you to do. That's all I care about. Y equals 2x. Are we worried about this next part? Nope, we're not going to do that till next week, okay? We're going to start figuring out next week how to figure this out. We're just kind of getting you intro into what we're doing for next week. Okay, so now let's take a look at this one and see if you can go ahead and give me the slope. What we want to see is what's the slope? This is x and y. Okay, don't get mixed up. What does the slope equal? And then go ahead and write it, or at least start the equation out. All right, so first find the slope. Can I figure out this? 1, 10, 2, 20, xy, xy, I get 10 minus 20, 1 minus 2. Okay. If I do the math, if you need a calculator, it's going to become negative 10 over negative 1, which two negatives becomes a positive. All right, so my slope is 10. My slope is 10. All right. Now, again, I'm going to delete everything. If my slope is 10, what do I care about more today? Go ahead and start writing out your equation, your linear equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals something x and something. Well, this something, again, you know this 10 goes right here, and we're not worried about that yet. Okay? So that's all I care about. Go ahead and start writing these out in equations. Let's go. Okay, the last part, we're almost done with this puzzle. This Edpuzzle, but let me move this over a little so it doesn't make too noise. If I was to go ahead and fill in this table, let me draw a meter. I'm going to draw a table, and I want you to still think of what I started talking about at the beginning. All right, I'm going to give a rule for this table. I'm going to say the rule is y equals 2x plus 1. Okay, and what I'm going to do is just make up x values. And I can do that, no big deal. And I'm going to use the rule to finish off this x, the y's. So I know what my x's are. Let's go ahead and figure out the y's. So let's think about this. Where would I put the 0? Where the x is. Okay, so it's going to be 2 times, because this x is going to go away. That really just means 2 times x. What's x in this problem? Well, for the first row, it's 0, right? You see what I did there? I plugged it in right there. 2 times 0. What's 2 times 0? 0. What's 0 plus 1? Do you see I got 0? 0 plus 1, and remember this all equals y. So I just wrote out this whole equation. I wrote it all out. 2 times 0, y equals 2 times 0. Y equals 0, right? Plus 1. What's 0 plus 1? Well, it's obviously going to be 1. So guess what goes here is 1. Because that's what y is, right? Now, let me see if we can do this again. Let me get this out of the way. All right, so what I want you to see right now is we're going to do it again. And this was x, right? Y, and we're going to follow the rule again. We're going to put 1 here, all right? And we're going to not use the x, we just replace the x. We know what x is. In this point, we know what x is. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. What's going to be y equals 2 times 1 plus 1. Do you see what happened there? We replaced the x. So then what's 2 times 1? 2, right? So what does y equal? What's 2 plus 1 here? 3? 2 times 1 is 2, and then 2 plus 1 is 3. So guess where the 3 goes? Okay. And you guys go ahead and try the next one. All right, I'm giving you a little help here. Where does the 2 go? We're going to cross this out and put the 2 there. All right, so the 2 goes here. So what's 2 times 2? 4 plus 1, 5. All right, you guys go ahead and try 3 now. All right, if I plug this in, sorry, I lost a little bit of it. I'm trying to be fancy here. I'm going to plug it in right there, right? So I have y equals 2 times 3, all right? It's going to go right there. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1, 7. All right, we got to start making that connection. So this equation, this rule, all of the coordinates have to follow the rule. All right, let me give you one more big one. Let's see. Try this one out. What if I said it's 10? Then what does y equal? All right, you guys, I will see you on Monday or Tuesday.